I want to cover all the things that you should be looking out for. So make sure you follow these steps in order for you to really get the most that you can when it comes to selling your house. Today we're going to cover all the reasons why your house might not be selling, why it's looking cheap, and why all the other houses seem to be selling. Meanwhile, yours is still on the market. And I just want to preface by saying all of these things are going to be shared from perspectives of my personal buyers that I've been working with throughout the years. And I want to give you a blueprint to really help you get the most for your money, whether you're working with our team or with any other agent out there. A lot of agents are really afraid to be honest with their clients and tell them the things they need to do in order for them to get top dollar, because maybe they're intimidated, maybe they don't have enough skills to share the message, or plain out they don't care or they don't know. I want to cover all the things that you should be looking out for. I have my handy dandy notes here ready to go. And for those of you that are new to the channel, hi, my name is Alexa. I'm a realtor. I'm also an investor in the area, and I am the owner of the small team that we have here in El Paso. If you are considering relocating into El Paso, we would love the opportunity to assist you. And even if you're not looking to purchase in El Paso, we do have trusted referral agents that we have throughout the United States. And I'm not just talking about somebody that I found on Zillow. I actually make sure that the people that we recommend you with are a great agent, not one of those like we saw in the other video. If you haven't checked that one out, how to discern between a good agent and a bad agent, I'll link that down below. But we're talking about our 20% agents, the good agents, the ones that actually deliver for you. So with that being said, let's get started in today's video. Now, the first thing I want to start off with is when you approach your house. What is the first thing you see? Well, it's the curb appeal. And here's the truth. There's a lot of people out there that when they go to see a house, I've had it happen, whenever we pull up, they're looking already at the neighborhood. Obviously you would be too, right? You're going to relocate into that property. You want to make sure the property is safe. You want to make sure that the area looks good. And let's just say all of the other houses look really pretty, but then the house that you're going to tour actually looks completely the opposite from the vibe we're seeing there. Maybe it has weeds coming out. Maybe it has the paint that is already chipping, or what we like to call the tiger stripe vibe, where there's like a bunch of stripes going on throughout the property because it hasn't been properly maintained. Or maybe you have dead plants all around and you really are not giving it the TLC that it needs. This is something that is going to affect your property. And something really simple you can do. I did that with my first property and I actually got really great feedback from it. And I also now have that property as an Airbnb. So it also shows that it continues to get booked. So it was a thumbs up. It was a great investment. I invested in putting artificial grass in it's like this little section where there was rocks, and we put the artificial grass there. It gave it such a beautiful contrast. And if you have just rocks in the entrance of your property, all of the front yard essentially looks dead. It looks really sad. It looks really lifeless. When you add a little bit of that glare to it, a little bit of that zazz to it, I am telling you, it is really going to level up, especially when you're comparing with the other properties that are around you. If your property is the only one that doesn't have that unique character to it in the exterior, doing something as small as putting a little artificial grass or putting some nice plants, do something to really bring it to life. But, oh, that just came to my mind. But if you're adding plants, don't go overboard. I've seen some houses where they just go overboard. Like they put a lot of stuff in the front yard and now you're doing the opposite. There was this is a true story, by the way. This one house that I once checked out for a client, and I've mentioned it in this channel before, but I was making a video tour for one of our clients that was relocating into El Paso. And I'm always super upfront with them because I want to make sure that I'm walking that property as if I were buying it, because they're not here, right? So I want to make sure I give them proper guidance and tell them, hey, the house is not good or the house is good. Well, when I pull up, I see that the house looks great, but the neighbor had a ton of gnomes, like the little gnomes all around. on the grass, on the front door, on the roof, on the driveway, everywhere. And needless to say, my clients did not like the house. They were like, I'm not gonna live next to that. So again, keep that in mind. Maybe you're that person that would want to have a bunch of gnomes outside. No judgment. Hey, to each their own. But if you're going to sell your property and you want to get top dollar, get rid of the things that are going to make your property lose its curb appeal. Okay, now point number 2, and now we're making our way inside of the property. Something that I know a lot of you are in love with is those little rugs. You know those little rugs that you put like the one around the toilet seat, and then you put another one as soon as you step out of the shower, and then you put another one right by the sink vanities, and you're like, Alexa, they look great. What are you talking about? Look, my grandma loved those things as well, especially the one that goes like around the toilet. But I am telling you, and I'm sorry, but I have to be your friend right now and tell you, those things do not look nice, especially if you're trying to sell your house. And I know some of you are like, Alexa, my feet get cold and I want a rug. I could care less how it looks. I'm telling you, I'm here for you. And I'm usually, if you've been following my channel, I like to focus on the positive stuff. So I'm not saying this from like hating on you. But the thing is that when people come into the property, they see them and clearly you use them, right? Like they're all stepped on and they don't really look nice with your floor that maybe looks really pretty. While you're selling your property, get those out of the way, because I am telling you, it is hurting your property and it just doesn't look fancy. Like it doesn't look nice. Like I've seen $1 million homes, and every time I walk through one of those $1 million homes, they never have any of those little things. They always keep it really high scale. And that's what you want to do for your property, whether it's $200,000, whether it's $1 million. You want to make sure that you get the investment back that you've been investing into this property. And this is one of the fastest way to have somebody walk into the home, look at it and be like, yeah, no, this kind of looks cheap. And I am telling you, these are all feedbacks that I've heard from my clients. So I'm not just saying this. It's not just Alexa saying it. It is actual feedback from consumers just like you at one point when you were buying your house. These is a feedback that you just want to keep in mind to ensure that you are not disqualifying any potential buyers just because they're looking at the property. And also, which is going to tie into my third point for today, you want to make sure the house smells good. I've said this so many times because I am amazed by how many people sometimes do not take care of their properties. I've seen a lot of properties where I go with my clients, whether I'm representing the buyers, and we walk the home. Everything looks so beautiful, but there's like cat piss smell, or there's like dog smell that is, you know, feces and stuff of that nature. It is the hugest turnoff. Also, if you smoke inside of your house, I highly recommend you ask your realtor about options for a ozone treatment. It is something that is going to cost money, but it is well worth it. And I've actually had to work with some of my clients that they were like, Alexa, money's really tight. I really want to do this and I really want to sell with you, but money's a little tight. I've worked with my clients and I've actually covered that for them because I just believe that I'd rather be there for them and help them get top dollar than put the house on the market and it'd be a disservice to them. So make sure you ask your agent about that. But overall, make sure whenever there's a showing that you have your candles lit up, you put some Febreze. Now don't overdo it because there's some people that are very particular and you're gonna say, Alexa, you can't please anybody nowadays. I'm with you. But at least make it smell good. If you can make it smell neutral, if you can make sure that the ambiance is welcoming, that is really going to help your property not look cheap and actually bring in more buyers because, again, they're not running out the door. There was this one property I just toured this past week. As you guys know, well, for those of you that are new to the channel, maybe you don't know, but I'm an investor in the area as well. I have a team that we basically flip houses with. And to make the long story short, I was walking a property with a client that actually wanted my guidance with buying their first investment property. So I went with him and his wife, and the house was just horrible. Like it smelled like rat feces, cat feces, dog feces, the whole 9 yards. It was pretty bad. That's usually what you get when it comes to investment properties. Honestly, it's pretty normal, but it's not normal when it's your home. And if it's your primary property, you want to make sure that's not something that you're putting other buyers through. Okay, point number 4 that I want to make that is making your house look cheap. A lot of you guys do not like to have people go in through the property with shoes, and I'm with you. Whenever I've sold any of my properties, I always put the little booties because I don't want them to do wear and tear on the carpets. I don't want them to damage them. And I do the same for my clients. But the thing here is that if you leave your shoes in the entrance, like I've seen a lot of houses where they have like a little shoe rack outside and you're like literally ringing the doorbell, you know, make sure that you're good to open the property up, and all you see there is a bunch of shoes, a bunch of flies, and it smells like it's not good. You don't want that. You do not want to be in that situation. So bag them all up, do what you got to do with them, buy one of those like furniture things at IKEA. I'll have my editor put a little example here for us, but do something that is going to really help you make that space feel welcoming. And just ask yourself, like, what were the characteristics that made me fall in love with this house that I would really want to try to shine on, right? And in this position that I'm actually now in, which is selling the house, I'm pretty sure that you didn't buy the house with a bunch of, you know, shoes in the front door when you bought it, especially if you bought it new. And if you did, I'm willing to bet, again, unless you were totally fine with it, but most of my clients won't be, you probably even negotiated a good deal on that property, because there's probably other buyers that were not interested in the property because of things of this nature. So just look out for yourself. Look out for yourself, put them in a nice little case. Like I said, we'll put the little furniture ones that I'm talking about. IKEA has some really nice ones, Amazon too, but just get something so that your property doesn't have shoes right in the front entrance as soon as your guests are walking into the home. Okay, the next point I want to make is going to be your window treatment. So as you can see back here, I have the plantation shutters. They're the new shutters, and this is something that I invested into the property because I really wanted to make sure that I took care of my investment and I didn't want to have like those thin blinds. But I am telling you, those thin blinds really bring down the elegance of your home, the feng shui of your home, because you're literally having these like super tiny ones that have been like scratched by the cat or the kid that pulled the, you know, blind, and now it's like missing like half of its face basically. You do not want to do that, okay? You want to just go to Walmart, buy some nice, like the faux, I think I'm pronouncing it right, faux, whatever, those like kind of like wooden like blinds. They look a lot better, or just invest in some of the modern blinds. Some people believe that, you know, the modern blinds, the ones that have like the little switch that goes on and off, I'll put a little photo for you guys here, but that they are going to be really expensive, and depending on your area, they could actually be pretty affordable. Especially here in El Paso, we have a ton of companies that are always offering some really great deals. So personally, I think that is something that really elevates the property. I know, maybe you're thinking, Alexa, I'm selling the house, I don't want to do a lot of these things. You don't have to, Barry. But the thing is that if you want to get top dollar, then you have to be willing to do some of these things, because remember, the appraiser is not going to give you more value for that. However, in the buyer's eyes, they want something that's move-in ready, especially if you are in a buyer's market like we're experiencing here in El Paso. Typically, El Paso is a buyer's market for those of you that are unaware, but this is something that you really want to keep in mind, because when you go into a house and you have 10 options, and I'll give you a quick little story. We currently have a client that we're working with, him and his wife, and they actually had like about 4 properties that they were comparing. They're also selling their house with us. I'll get into that in a second. But when we were comparing all 4 of the houses, because all of the houses were so similar, they had 5 bedrooms, they had the similar square footage, they had the similar layout, the biggest things for them was, what was the house that I was gonna have to get in there and do the least amount of work to? And that is what you're up against when you're in these types of markets. If you're like, well, my house should go for $350 because Sally's went for $350, but Sally's was actually more taken care of than you, Barry, well, you're not going to get that, right? You're just not gonna get it, and it's not me, don't shoot the messenger. These are the realities of what's happening in the market. So you just want to make sure that you are having a competitive advantage so that you're not in that situation where you're having to drop your price simply because you didn't do some of these things. Now, on the seller side, like I was mentioning with them, they actually we're about to go live on the market this week. And to make the long story short, they were already contemplating painting their house. Well, I told them, hey, by this time we could go ahead and do the photos. Unless you need more time, like it's totally fine. Just let me know. I know you guys are really excited to, you know, get the process going, but you're also good on your timeline. They were so amazing. Within 2 weeks, they literally finished painting the entire interior of the house white, which is one of the points I was gonna make with you guys in the video. And the house changed. Like from the first time that I went to see the property to the second time, I was like, wow, this is a brand new house. Like this looks so amazing. A lot more spacious, welcoming, fresh, open. It was just really inviting. And I am telling you, this really sets you apart, which is my next point that I wanted to make with you. You want to make sure that you are painting if you can, okay? If you can paint your walls, let's say you have like purples and pinks and reds. These colors are very, very overwhelming to the new person that's looking to buy the property. Even if you're like, Alexa, everybody loves red. Alexa, everybody loves pink and purple. The thing is that it's not a white canvas. And I would much rather recommend that you paint your house white than what some of the experts might tell you, like, oh, do a little bit of a soft gray, do a little bit of a soft yellow, a soft blue. No, white is better, because I have never had a buyer tell me, oh, this is horrible, it's white. But I have had people tell me, this is horrible, it's yellow, this is horrible, this is green. What were they thinking? Why did they paint this room black? Yes, I've seen black rooms. So just make sure that you're very, very conscious about this, because it is going to provide a blank canvas for the person that's looking to buy your property. And again, this video is all geared around getting you top dollar. So these are things that you should want to do if you want to get top dollar, not that you have to do them, but they are going to help you. Now, point number 7 that we're going to cover right now is going to be popcorn ceilings. So popcorn ceilings is a big deal, because when you go into a property, you can automatically see that it's an older home based off the popcorn ceiling. And this is something that honestly isn't going to cost you much. I would recommend that you actually hire a professional to do this, because if you don't do it properly, you can actually activate the asbestos in the house. But with that being said, if you decide to ask ChatGPT how to do it and you watch a couple of videos and you're safe, then hey, to each their own. I just believe that these things really make a big difference when it comes to the house and how you feel about it, especially based off the feedback that I've been seeing with a lot of our clients. They want something that is turnkey. They want to do as minimal as possible. Now, I want to preface something. It also comes down to your price point, okay? Because I don't want you to go and do all these things for your property if, let's say, you're like some of my clients that have a house for like $160,000 that they need to sell. Yes, you heard that right. If you're watching this from California, in El Paso, there is houses for $160,000. But with these types of properties, because they're under $200,000, they typically tend to go faster. Like, there's a lot of first-time home buyers that really want to get their first investment property. They want to buy their first property. And in some of these properties, you're actually still going to see a multiple offer situation. What I recommend is talk to the agent that you're going to be working with. And I do have a whole video geared around how to discern between the good agents and the bad agents. So please watch that. And also, if you want us to send you the guide of the questions that you want to ask when you're interviewing, go ahead and let us know. We'd love to help you with that. But once you actually are conducting that interview, and the reason for this, the reason why you want to get some options when it comes to this is that there's a lot of properties, like I mentioned, that are in a lower price point. So when you're interviewing your agent and you're going to decide on an agent, we should have competence on the market and be able to tell you, hey, this house, like regardless if you do some of these upgrades or not, you're still going to be able to sell it. Like, you're still going to be in a situation where you can actually get the money that you're asking for, because you're probably going to experience like multiple people being interested in purchasing the property. So again, this is applicable based off this parameter that I mentioned, underneath 200,000. Anything above 200,000, I am telling you, just make sure that you actually talk to your agent. I had one property we're selling right now, and at the beginning, essentially, they didn't change out the carpets, and it did hurt us when it came to the first showings that we were doing. Later, they actually decided to take my advice and remove the carpets, and it has just brought so much more traffic into the property because of the fact that, again, people are interested in purchasing something that is going to be turnkey. This house is currently for $239,000, and this is where, again, like I said, it's already above the $200,000 range. There is more competition as far as like other properties that are selling for that price. So even though you might think like, oh, I should do all these things to the property because I'm gonna get more money, it's more from the perspective of you want to just be able to compete with what you have around you. Okay, the next point I want to cover is going to be your carpets. Your carpets can really affect your home. If you have kids, if you have pets, if you have a lot of people that are constantly coming in and out of your property, chances are that your carpets are really damaged. And I've seen some carpets where they're really old and they're essentially needing to be like stretched out, right? Like that you can see like the little wave that is on the carpet. Not only is that a tripping hazard, so I know you might be saying like, why should I do that? You know, like I'm selling the house. But on top of that, we go back to the point that we talked about earlier, which is you don't want to be in a situation where your house is being compared to Barry and Jerry's house, and then all of a sudden your house is the one that's like, you know, the odd thumb sticking out because they saw the carpets and they saw the condition that they were in and they weren't really happy with that. Which also, if you can afford to pull your carpets, if they smell really bad, like have a real friend or your agent tell you, like, can you please be honest with me and tell me if my house smells? If you have a real friend or a real agent, they're going to be honest with you and they're going to tell you, I'm sorry, but yes, your house stinks. And I say this with love. So if your carpets are bad, pull those bad boys out, because I am telling you, it is going to hurt you and people are not going to be interested in purchasing that property, all because your carpets have been drenched with things that should not be drenched with. Okay, another point that I want to share with you that could really help you elevate your property is adding curtains. And when I say curtains, I'm gonna try to find some photos to go ahead and add here for you guys as well. But let's just say this is your window, okay? This is your window, Picasso over here. And this is the rod. And this is like, let's say a sliding door, sorry. If you put the rod a little bit further from one side to the other, and let's say this is now your blind, your curtain, and it's like basically like higher and lower than the actual sliding door, it is going to look really nice. I really want to find a picture for you guys and put one on because that drawing was not good, but it really brings up the elegance of the property. I remember when I first did that to one of my properties, I saw the inspiration on Pinterest and I bought the rod from Amazon and I bought the curtains from Amazon and I put it up, and I was telling, my grandfather was helping me. I was like, Grandpa, can you put it a little bit further up? And he was doing that. Yes, my grandpa's an OG. He's amazing. He comes through for me every single time. And my grandmother was there and she's like looking at him put the rod up there, and she's like, why are you guys putting it so high? Like, that's ridiculous. It's gonna look horrible. And I was like, no, trust me, like it's gonna look great. Like the photos said so. We did that, and she was like, as she was like, you know, talking her little comments there, she was like, no, it's gonna look really weird. Like you shouldn't do that. Well, when we finished, she ate her words and she was like, this looks amazing. This looks really great. It really elevates the room, okay? And it's really going to help you, especially if you have a sliding door and you just have the sliding door like right there in your face where you can see your whole backyard. It really helps just bring the elegance and give it that privacy that it needs, because a lot of people start thinking about that and then they're like overestimating, like, oh, it's gonna cost so much money to fix this or put a blind here or whatever it is. No, just put a curtain and show them that this space already has the potential that it needs in order for be the next home that they're looking for. So keep that in mind. Okay, this next point is something that personally I love, which is kind of like the jewelry of the property. Anything geared around your light fixtures, anything geared around your handles, your doorknobs, your cabinet knobs, anything geared around, let's say, your like the light switches. If they're really outdated, please change them out. It's not going to cost you a lot, but it is really going to enhance your property. I remember my first property, that house, like already after 6 years, it kind of was looking a little like, you know, it didn't have all the new stuff that I was seeing in other houses. When I moved out of that property and I turned it into an Airbnb, I literally flipped the entire thing. I painted it with the advice that I'm sharing with you guys. I painted it really light gray because I didn't want it just to be white because I already had like a vision in mind, but I did light grays, and all of the knobs and all of the kitchen handles, everything, I upgraded it for black. The sinks, I also made sure that the faucets, I turned them black. I'll try to find a picture for you guys, but it looks so beautiful. And everybody gave me compliments about it because I turned a house that was already starting to look older into my own little project. And I'm telling you, I didn't spend a lot of money on this. And if you can afford to do this, it is really going to level up your game and sell your house a lot quicker, because again, people want to get into a property where they can do as minimal as possible. Now, also caveat here, if your house is like in a historic district, like one of the ones that we've sold in the past and we're selling again, which if you want to check out that listing, click down below. It is a beautiful home in a historic district, steps away from UTIP, but that house, it's in its pristine condition since the 1900s. So like, obviously you don't want to do that for every property, right? But if you can do certain things to the property to still elevate it, like they did, they upgraded the kitchen, that's really going to help you. So again, speak to your agent, make sure you have the proper guidance when it comes to this. And my last point for today, guys, look, I love stuff. but I want you to declutter your house, okay? Declutter your house. Don't have all your coffee mugs out. Don't have all your Polly Pockets out. Don't have all your Hot Wheels out. Don't have all your anime characters out. Just put them away. Okay, declutter as much as you can, because again, the whole point of somebody going into your house is to picture themselves in that house. And if you have a lot of stuff, which I'm not telling you what a lot of agents will potentially try to tell you, which is like, oh, go live somewhere else while we sell your house. No, sir. Do not do that, but just declutter. Declutter as much as you possibly can, because I am telling you, it is really going to help you at the end of the day get the most for your money, because people want to buy something that they feel like it's going to be theirs. And when they go in and you have a bunch of posters all over, a bunch of family pictures all over, a bunch of stuff that really is now taking away from your house, it is just going to hurt you. So make sure you follow these steps in order for you to really get the most that you can when it comes to selling your house. And if you are in the market, if you're relocating into El Paso, whether it's a month from now or a year from now, let us know. We would love to assist you. We would love to guide you. We have tons of clients that find our YouTube channel that are always reaching out to us. And if you are interested in booking a Zoom call, we can also do that. This way you can see I'm real, I'm not AI, and I can talk to you and I can go ahead and give you some advice based off whatever your journey looks like. So with that being said, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you guys on the next one.